I'm Toby, and hello, faithful viewers and listeners of Toby's Happy Times and Places. It's an utter pleasure to be a guest on here. I am Anthony Townsend, and what do? I do all sorts of things. I do a bit of acting. I do a bit of voice work. I do a bit of singing sometimes, some hosting, interviewing, amongst other things. So I can be found here and there doing this and that, mostly. And today I'm here about something that's definitely feels like a happy time and place for me, time in the Rani.
I have episode 4 of Time in the Rani. Nothing can stop me now. I'm gonna get my fancy Blu-ray lined up. I'd let the previous episode overrun slightly. So get ready. Do you have the Blu-ray? Do you have? I haven't actually delved into any of the extras on this set, but it's good timing for me to tear it out of its cellophane. I always feel when I'm doing that going, I've immediately reduced its collectability. It's episode 4 of Time in the Rani with my special guest Anthony Townsend, who is going to tell me their favourite 2 things. 1 thing for episode 4 and 1 overall thing at the end of this. I've so far guessed none of the same things. Let's see if we can be in accord, at least in time for the final part of Time and the Rani. Press play in 3, 2, 1. I started chatting about Pip and Jane Baker when I was going through a divorce. I know I see I appear such fun, and yet there's a trail of disappointed women behind me. I suppose actually they're probably less disappointed now. They were disappointed at the time. I have released them from their disappointment. I stayed with a friend in Ruislip. I'm glad they haven't messed with the titles. They've got the wrong titles on episode 4. They've got the bit where the Doctor's face appears, but you can't see it. So I can see why they went, should we do that again? And they painted his face gold. But anyway, however they did it better on all the other occasions, but accidentally stuck the wrong one on. But I like the fact that the opening titles are not uniform. I like the fact that little anomalies creep in. And in fact, it's a deliberate policy of my podcast is that I'll sometimes use experiment with using a different length of the musical opening or a different mix of the music or just a slightly different bit, just because the profession in me goes they should all be uniform and all be the same, and then you look at things where everything's uniform and the same and you go, but I don't like those, they're soulless. So I shall introduce some. So it's not like forced eccentricity. I'm not doing it on purpose, but it's just if I feel like doing it slightly differently one week, I will. Poor old Bonnie Langford's got this massive great back claw on her face and just see one eye acting away. Pip and Jane Baker. I remember when I first saw their name on the credits, because Pip seems like quite a young name, doesn't it? I thought maybe it was a sort of a brother and sister, and they were sort of young and bohemian, and Pip and Jane. I didn't realise they were these sort of slightly adorable middle-aged couple, and she apparently frequently finished his sentences, and they could be seen round Ruislip where I was staying going through my divorce, but I never actually had the pleasure myself. And it's odd because I started doing Who's Round, my podcast, to get through. It's a great shot, great. The Quarry is doing excellent work here, and he's putting some effort into his walking, that monster. And it's weird because Pip and Jane were a sort of they were sort of mocked. They were viewed with a sort of amused disdain by Doctor Who fandom, and I think that's a shame because I was sort of I never quite got round to going, oh, I should interview them. I think because they were so close as well. I thought, well, that'll be easy, and for some reason I get less satisfaction out of doing things that are straightforward. You know, I would rather not interview somebody who lived next door to my brother, say, because that could easily be arranged. I'd rather interview somebody that it was really hard to get into contact with and very difficult to secure, because that somehow seems like more of an achievement. It's a bit Puritan, that, isn't it? Through hard work and suffering comes achievement and value. So I never had the pleasure with Pip and Jane Baker, and I suspect it would have been a delightful time. And I think when you talk to people who've done the work, as with Richard Martin, whose direction I was not a great fan of, when I actually met and spoke to the man, you sort of see the man in the work a bit more then, and it makes you more sympathetic to it. If you can hear a noise, by the way, it's my snoring dog, but he snores in a way that suggests he's got indigestion, but he's just having a snore. That all looks quite good. The sheer number, you forget how many Tetraps there are. Their potbellies are rather cute, aren't they? And it's odd that because there are so many available to the production, it's odd that we've largely seen, you know, Urak and or one other for most of the story. I suppose it means it's kicking up the odds in the final episode. Now, I think Bayes has already signalled that he's ripe for self-sacrifice, just in the fact that he's the one who's helping the Rani, but he's got some nobility about him. But at least he's not doing what Ian McElhenney did in The Timeless Children, is spending the whole thing going, and I'm quite old, so it doesn't really matter if I die. Because you sort of go, why are you spending all of the episode taking any wind out of the dramatic sails that there may be if we have to lose a much-loved character? You're essentially going, it will be less sad if I die. So I feel at least Bayes' sacrifice, although I seem to recall he doesn't actually really need to be there. I'll see if my memory is correct, but he just basically there checking a couple of connections. This is I have a friend who's a great big Elvis fan, and I think he was quite chuffed because Doctor Who mentions Elvis in this episode. It's odd, isn't it, that Doctor Who could run for so long and only actually mention Elvis once in the whole of the classic series. Does Elvis get a mention in the new series? Oh, well done, Kate O'Mara there. She had to act whilst also not getting out of the small cupboard that she's in with the door that shuts quite slowly. She had to do a sort of vampish sort of, oh, I'm so furious, and yet I'm not going to actually try and get out of here because I'm not supposed to. But I need to buy the door a bit of time. And it's that sort of stage trick that you would use to sell something in the theatre a little bit, that you don't need to employ in television anymore, because we have much more access to to cutting and to post and to various things that can shave off little nanoseconds that can tighten up the action. But because so much of this was real time, it is a bit more theatrical, and so you need. I saw Kate O'Mara on stage in a sexy Antony and Cleopatra, and it caused some consternation because, as the minister in Blot on the Landscape would say, there was a teat, there was a nipple on the poster. Kate sort of recreated a slightly warmer version of the opening episode of Triangle on the poster, and it was it was very much billed as so Cleopatra and her ladies. Well, I mean, they had some gossamer sort of tops on, and but there was a little bit of nippleage in apparence to spice up an otherwise quite long production of Antony and Cleopatra. That's mean. That's a good effect, and that's what I particularly like about that is the fact that the hand goes in the water, which means that you're slightly distracted from the mix. It's a very clever piece of direction, that, and a neat moment. Little moments like that show when a director is working hard and being clever. Oh, Bayers? Oh. Oh, is he going to release her? I can't remember. I think he must do. But that's all good. That's all dramatic stuff. And Wanda Ventham can do sort of gravitas and emotion with just a look. She's beautiful, isn't she? It's actually a cast of beautiful people. You've got all these actors who probably, their agents like, yeah, they look good on camera. They're, stunning profiles, good-looking actors. And Doctor Who goes, yes, and we shall paint them all green and put scales and lions' manes on them. I hope Mark Greenstreet's well. I liked him. So yeah, I was with him in Taming of the Shrew, and I've seen Kate O'Mara in Taming of the Shrew. They didn't need nipples to augment that. It was exciting enough. Were there any other Doctor Who people in her? Oh, and in her Taming of the Shrew, Paul Jericho was in that, in Kate O'Mara's Taming of the Shrew. Oh, and Rob Edwards, who's in The Robots of Death and is the voice of Zoannon. Was there anybody in Antony and Cleopatra? Don't think there was particularly. No. But yes, it caused, amongst theatre goers at the Wolverhampton Grand Theatre, there was some murmurings, and I know that some posters that I think, put an excellent production, the Times, and slapped that on the offending nipple. Censorship via press quotes. But of course, we went to see it because it was Kate O'Mara from Doctor Who doing Antony and Cleopatra. There was nothing. We weren't lured by areolae. That's such a thing. Oh yes, this is. But thankfully, Doctor Who needs to tell Mel so that now this that the Rani's plan is totally understandable to everybody watching. I can't remember the details, but actually I don't really care. It doesn't have to make much sense. But because it doesn't have to make much sense, I do feel sorry for Kate O'Mara having to say all of that, which you can tell she's not particularly over the moon about. And then she sort of goes back to being all gloriously vampish when we get back to the emotion. The stuff about I'm creating a shell of chronons, blah, 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 blah. But nothing in the world can stop me destroying things. Yeah, you can do a bit of a emotion to that, because the dialogue is led by what the character is feeling about that, whereas I don't think you can feel much about explaining a shell of chronons. I actually think Elvis is the punchline to that line, not Mrs. Malaprop. But I think the joke there is that this doctor himself is doing malapropisms and getting quotes wrong, which I'm glad somebody decided is possibly the worst thing about him and that he should stop doing. But post-regenerative trauma makes you try things that your doctor then doesn't do later because the actor is no longer finding their feet. I think that's good. Post-regenerative trauma is a good thing because it gives you license as a performer to go, should my doctor always kick people in the shins? No, I don't do that anymore. It's post-regenerative trauma. It's... Yeah. Well done, Kate, because we don't really know what any of this means. Loy Hargill, Holy Grail. That's the beauty of Pip and Jane Baker. A friend of mine did once take a picture of them walking down, and I said, high street, and it wasn't intrusive. It was and it was just from a shot of them from behind, of them holding hands and walking down the street. And he was very tall, and she was quite small, and it's a beautiful picture of two lovely old people walking down the street, with the added frisson that we know that they are the thesaurus gobbling writers of some silly, ludicrous, some of the more the Doctor Who stories with the more ludicrous landscape of language. But what was I talking about? Kate O'Mara there was doing a lot of heavy lifting while the camera was just on her, while she was having to look excited about Loy Hargill, an anagram of Holy Grail. And I'm sure Pip and Jane Baker, in the book of Time and the Rani, is it that the Tetraps language is the brilliant wheeze of what can we do to suggest different alien language patterns? Well, they speak English, but all the words are backwards. You go, really? Come on. Doctor Who is ambitious and crazy, and sometimes misfires, but sometimes you get moments where somebody thinks they've had a really good idea, and you just have to think about it for a quarter of a second and go, that's really not a really good idea, and why did nobody point that out? So there's a nice bit of jeopardy because everyone's got the bad straps on. Because let's not forget, she is a high-booted, voluminously haired. I've said space dominatrix before. Why not? But the things she does are. Where there's a will, there's a beneficiary. Yeah, very good. But what are we supposed to make of the fact that bauble has the wire that can? It doesn't matter. But it's like they're all in on something that we as a viewer go, well, that's not. You haven't worked anything out clever there. That just happened to be lying around. But it's okay because it's a bit of glitter on their faces as well, aren't they? But that suggests scales where the scale makeup is not. So, and I think the shading and everything on the facial makeup is very, very good. I do like the Lacurtians. They might be one of my things. And is Kev McCulloch's music going to be one of my things? I did a thing I don't like there. I used a Christian name of somebody I don't actually know. I don't like it. Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before when publications call Tom Baker Tom, or people call him Tom when it's Tom Baker. He's not our mate. He's Doctor Who. He's an actor. But I'm aware that's very old-fashioned of me. But I don't mind being old-fashioned because it means I now have gravitas. No, it doesn't. Why is it that we like things that are old? Of course, we like things that remind us of times we understood. As you get older, I think you understand things less, and you're supposed to understand things less because things are more understandable to the younger generation who are creating the world that they're going to end up living in. So of course it's going to be a world that they've made sense of that makes increasingly less sense to us, which is what keeps us going and keeps going until we walk off the perch and fall off it. Pasteur. I'd forgotten Pasteur is in it. So we do have Louis Pasteur. So we do have some more A-list scientists as well as Einstein. Who played Einstein? Certainly, why would people think that's Patrick Troughton? He's small and he's got a face, and that's enough to become a rumour. I can actually probably find out who played Einstein, but it's only me who cares. So this is quite neat that the Rani is hoist by her own petard, as I'm surprised they didn't do. Maybe they do, and I haven't heard it. That her own beastly explosive ankle exploders are used to blow up her own giant talking brain. What does it talk out of? Doesn't matter. In fact, I hate me for saying that. It's probably hooked up to a vocal synthesizer, or it's so big and powerful enough that its thoughts can come out of some sort of device it's got at the base of its thing. It's fine. That's fine. I didn't even need to raise it. I was just like somebody on an awful clip show trying to find something to criticise when I'm watching a thing set in a space quarry with blue rocks with evil bat monsters kidnapping Einstein in order to stick them in the cupboard belonging to an actress from Dynasty, whilst a very dignified stage actor with over 50 years experience walks around with a lion's mane on, not actually doing anything apart from going, I've got to do something, I know, I'll adjust the bracelets because we need some emotion and somebody has to die, because the only people that have died so far have been fairly small characters, and a bit of self-sacrifice is always an emotional target in a Doctor Who, even though he doesn't really need to be there. That's a great shot. She's flipping glorious. I love her. Oh, poor old Bears. And he fell over then, almost as badly as he fell over when he banged his head on the stairs. But that was a fall over plus explosion. So unfortunately, he's Lacurtian toast. Great models. Bill Dudman shot all of these. I like the pink sky as well. Just little touches like that to suggest alienness. But and the model works very, very good. But I'd forgotten actually, because Doctor Who gets a bit of stick for quarries, but quarries are great locations for Doctor Who, and I think Andrew Morgan has shot this quarry particularly well. Although I don't know why the Rani's TARDIS is a pyramid and not a rock, but it doesn't matter. Enough. I like the hiss. I like the fact that he I like the fact that he keeps his fingers crossed. I like my Doctor when the Doctor isn't quite sure that it's going to work. I like the fact that the Doctor is a genius, but often makes mistakes. You don't want a flawless hero. They're quite an interesting looking bunch. They've had quite a lot of fun with the store cupboard accoutered geniuses. I wonder if you'd have a few more aliens in there now, though. I shall remember with admiration his largely pointless sacrifice, because nobody went anywhere near it. He will not be forgotten, but largely because he gave a much better performance in The Faceless Ones. No, Donald Pickering was very good. Yeah, they've. But so do I. He was pretty grumpy with you throughout the whole thing. I hope he's all right, Mark Greenstreet. As I say, he was a nice fellow, and he was a good actor. And I think he was sort of slightly scuppered by Trainer not being a success. Oh, she's not upside down, but something. But yes, being hung up for so long caused Kate O'Mara a few problems. But credit to the actors who are hanging upside down, because it's really, really uncomfortable. It's a bit like a bat version of the Long Good Friday, isn't it? Someone's been totally out of order. Now, this is really stupid, because many of them might now die. but and how to it's I mean, when he said tell her through, she could have just gone, Icona's a dick. So that's the first performance. And because, funny enough, I was on Twitter last night, having mentioned about the jumper, and somebody put up a picture of Sylvester with the jumper off and just the tie and the shirt, and he looked absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I wish they'd ditched the jumper. It's you can have too many question marks. How many is too many question marks? Festooned on a jumper. Okay, so, well, do you know what? My least favourite Doctor Who story is It Now. I didn't find that as much of a chore as part 2 of Time Lash. I really struggled with when we did this. About halfway through, when the plot sort of ground to a halt, and they had to sort of fill in, and everyone just sort of seemed to give up. Nobody gave up in this. Everybody's pretty committed in lots of interesting and different ways. You know, the venerable older actors never once let up. Going, we're gonna give this. You know, we're gonna, not over the top. We're gonna centre this. That is what we're here for. We're here to provide a bit of ballast, in contrast to the leading man who's giving it his all in terms of energy, and the leading lady who's again absolutely committed, but takes gusto to fourth wall breaking extremes perhaps, and to the leading guest lady who is vamping for Mars. But that, you know, nobody is wasting our time. Everybody is full on. So if some of that's misguided, you know, in terms of some of the presentation, it's not out of laziness, and it's a lot of fun. I would have happily watched and enjoyed that, and very much got over myself. And if there's a lesson from a show that is about travelling through time and space, and doing so with a sense of humour, and saving the world from ludicrous plots and overstuffed villains, is that Doctor Who, at the character's best and at the programme's best, sort of goes, you're not that important because there's a whole big wide universe out there, but it doesn't matter that you're not important, because actually the little things are sometimes what makes life very special. So 1, get over yourself, and 2, enjoy yourself. And I'm hoping that my journey is enabling me to do both of those things. Dear Anthony has 2 more things to choose. Let's see what they are. Oh, I have to choose mine first. Them's the rules. I'm going to choose the design of the Lacurtians, which I think is different and interesting, and I think the makeup is very, very good. I saw a picture the other day of the Shimmeron baby, which is basically just green makeup slapped on a baby, which I'm sure will be illegal these days. But that makeup has all the contours and the shading, and I just think it's an interesting design. And the lion's mane, sort of contrast. They do look like the love child of a psychedelic lion and a probably unwilling lizard. But I like them. I like the Lacurtian design, and my overall thing is it's going to be Kev surprises me, but it's going to be Kev McCulloch's music, because when it scores, it really, really scores, and it's a score that, as I say, just lifts proceedings where sometimes the rest of the technology and resources cannot. I've chosen now, with an honourable mention to the fact that Pip and Jane Baker, as I said, I think often misguided, but I do adore them, because again, they're not lazy. Their commitment to dialogue that ascends to a level of hyperreality. I think, again, at the time, it made the show seem to be trying a little bit too hard, and written by people who had done nothing bar sort of hang around in theatrical, regional theatrical bars for the past 25 years. But nonetheless is a sort of trademark of this period of Doctor Who that I think now has a certain charm. Anyway, and I suspect Anthony's probably, but he did choose a line in the first episode. Doesn't matter. And I suspect Anthony's, well, yeah, they did choose a line. It doesn't matter. Let's see.
Well done, Toby. You've reached the end of part 4 of Time and the Rani, and I hope you're delighted and thrilled in it, as I do every single time I watch it. Right, and I have got a few things to say about something that really needs to come up in this episode, and the story really is costume. I love the costume design in this. We get the Rani in a fantastic outfit, which is actually, you can't see it here, but I have a picture of that on my wall. We have Bonnie's fantastic outfit, which you can see behind me, which I just adored when it came out and when I first saw it, and adore it to this day. And I know I'm not the only one. And just the look of the Lacurtians, okay, they're a bit clean, but that was always the problem, wasn't it? But just wafting about as they were. I just think it looks absolutely fantastic. And so all kudos to Ken True, and also the new Doctor's outfit, which broke the silhouette that we'd got used to for quite a long time for the Doctor, and is almost nicely eccentric, but he could almost get away, and does get away, with shuffling around in everyday life in it as well. And even the pullover, which is insistent to have the question marks, and that has just become a part of him. That's just how it is, and I love it. So my top thing for part 4 is just to highlight the costume design and how wonderful it is. Okay, and I need to talk about one final thing, don't I? Yeah, something that's really special about the whole story is it does feel like the beginning of a whole fresh new era. We just had, not that long ago, the hiatus, thinking it was Axe. The series coming back felt very much under the knife with Trial of a Time Lord. And we're here, we're back again. We have a new Doctor, we have a new script editor, we have all those things I mentioned before. And it's a new start, and it certainly feels like it. And it is the beginning of one of my favorite eras, the Sylvester McCoy years. I could just watch over and over and over again. I adore them. I am a Doctor Who fan, obviously. I mean, I love Doctor Who unconditionally. It's always been there for me since the age of blur, for the last 39 years. So it's intrinsically part of me, and I just love the fun that's being had in the story as well. That's the important thing, is that Doctor Who goes from one sort of program to another, here, there, and everywhere, but it can just have times of unadulterated fun, and that's what we've got here. It's just to sit back, disengage your brain, and just enjoy what's flowing in front of you. And I think Time in the Rani just epitomizes that. So if anything to take away from this is that it is just a great big campus tits, loads of fun. And that's it. That's my views. I have been given the opportunity to plug something by Mr. Hadoke, so I'm going to plug a recent piece of work which during lockdown, my friend Nigel Fairs, who you may have heard of, has spent a hell of a lot of time producing a podcast audio drama series called The Poggleywood Murders, which is a comedy murder mystery series, and I have been in it throughout. We've recorded it in isolation, and he's put it all together and released it for week by week over 20 weeks, half-hour episodes each. So that's a huge undertaking. And it would be great if you go and listen. It also includes such Doctor Who alumni as Louise Jameson and Matthew Waterhouse and Angela Bruce, and just masses of fantastic actors. And I'm very lucky to have a part in it. We'll have quite a few parts in it, but that was great fun to do, and certainly it helped us all get through lockdown. And hopefully it helps some of the listeners as well. So you just have to pop off and do an internet search for the Poggleywood Murders, the Poggleywood Murders podcast. I think it's well, I don't know actually. I can't remember where it's available, but I'm sure you'll find it. And it's free and it's just fun. So just you need to take it away from everything. Have a go at that. Thank you very much, Toby. This has been great fun revisiting Time in the Rani. It's been fantastic. I'm just about to possibly fly off in a vibrant pink bubble, but that's nothing unusual for me. Take good care. Bye-bye.
So those are Anthony's reasons. Do I get a point for the costume design? Maybe it doesn't matter. I've still lost. So I'll let you decide. You can decide the score if you really care, which I'm sure you don't. So that's Anthony, who's now going to plug something and tell you a bit more about themselves. Oh, well, I like to think Anthony is in a big pink bubble, even as they currently are in hospital. So look, there's a GoFundMe. I've brought this forward in the schedule for, I hope you'll agree, an important reason. So I hope this has been fun for you. Lots of love to Anthony. Please, if you can't do the GoFundMe, send lots of good vibes to a good person who, as I think you've witnessed as an example of seizing Doctor Who for all of its potential fun value, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I hope. I think I'm getting there with not taking, whilst taking life very seriously, not taking it too seriously as to not make it fun. And you can do the same with Doctor Who. So look, if I've got through Time and the Rani, although somebody has just submitted Underworld, which I fear is something Time and the Rani never is, which is dull, but who knows, when I get to Underworld, I'm going to go into it with exactly the same attitude I went into this with. This is my favourite programme, and I'm going to love it. And, oh, Bernard, just be very, very careful. Bernard is trying to sabotage. He's just heard it. We're not going to watch Underworld now, Bernard. It's okay. We're not going to watch Underworld now. Can I take that wire from around you? There we go, my darling boy. Okay. Thanks very much for listening. Lots of love to Anthony. Lots of love to you out there. Have fun. Nothing in the world can stop you.
What more could you want than a bit of Bonnie on your back? Okay.